Dispensing product.
Hello and welcome back to the MagCast, episode number 15 on this February 9th, 2013, sunny day out, and we have a gaggle of people here. I think that's the only way to explain it.
I'm a goose now.
You're a geese.
Yes, there are in fact 7 people.
Seven.
It's all the normals plus SK.
Oh, I get it now. 7 swan is swimming.
Oh. Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Sounds great.
Gaggle.
If you say so.
Good job. But basically today we're going to have quite the show, mainly focusing on some recent news that has come out, news and rumors and all that good stuff. But just to start off the show, what's everyone been up to this week?
And keep it short.
All right, Dead Space
Keep
3.
it brief.
I think we could just quickly say several of us have been playing a certain game.
Yeah,
personally, I've been sticking to nothing and work, but that's about it for me.
that game sucks.
Yeah,
My work
yeah.
sucks.
Who has the high score?
Can't say for sure.
I have no idea how you... Yeah,
Income.
Yeah, income. How about that? Yeah.
Income.
Well, I'm losing.
I'm losing the most.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But
I've been playing Dead Space 3 with Lantis.
And when I'm not playing with X, me and SK have been playing Dead Space 3.
That and Insultabot's game, I've been playing that too.
What do you mean Insultabots? Oh, yeah. Job.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing in work.
Nothing. So Sin is also playing the same game as.
It's popular this time of it just came out, you know.
Apparently, yeah. There was DLC that came out called Tax Return Season. Did everybody get that?
Yeah, did you get that in the mail?
I haven't gotten it yet.
I'm looking forward to it.
I just got my W2 item.
Yeah, the W2
yeah, me too.
DLC was awesome.
I just received it this morning. I found it in my download queue.
Nice.
What about you, Dre?
What have I been up to? I'm not really sure. You can ask somebody else and I'll think of something.
Oh, the
Okay,
only other person
actually,
left is
Dre has
Ash.
been up to working and thinking about things and sleeping and eating and that's about it.
Living? You mean
well-
living?
Well, I just uploaded a channel update that's going to be going on Monday.
Yay! Channel
Hey.
updates.
It's going to be talking about what I plan to do this year as far as my Let's Plays are going to be concerned.
cool.
As for myself, I'm trying to stave off the diseases, bacteria. There's a staph infection in the house, and I do not want to catch it. And I have a fever right now.
Uh-oh.
No!
That's no good.
And I've
Cell Wars.
just for one quicksies, I've mainly just been playing some Warcraft with some friends. It's a good time.
Very cool.
Good
So-
times.
So
I'm
you,
glad SK got that.
so you
Yeah,
have...
got it.
What happened?
Well, Dre said SARS, and then I said SARS like Nemesis said stars.
I didn't say SARS.
And the only person that laughed was SK.
Rainbow.
So I don't know how much we should be laughing at SARS to begin with, so.
Yeah.
This is inappropriate cast.
Oh, goodness gracious, golly me.
Yeah, well, I guess
Actually-
that's what we've been doing.
Actually, if you're talking about something I said Cell Wars.
Oh.
Close enough.
Close enough.
Yeah, that's going in my body right now, I think.
Yeah, I
I'm
also
sorry,
have,
Faye, I can't help you in that battle.
It's okay.
I also have a problem, and I have like this big ass ball of pills. Yo, they gave me 80 pills, and I had to knock all these off. I gotta take like 6 a day.
Why?
Wow.
Because I had a medical thing and it hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I mean, nothing like serious or anything, but
Just painful.
I couldn't sit down.
Sickness Cast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, let's talk about games now.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Let's do some free play.
Free play.
Oh, that transition.
Alright, so Insultabot brought us this lovely story this week about how J.J. Abrams, I believe he's responsible for Lost, is bringing us Half-Life and Portal films. Would you like to go into that, sir?
There's very little known other than the fact that at I think it was at DICE they had Valve was sitting there. What's his name? Gabe
Newell.
Gabe Newell. Yes, he's sitting down, and all of a sudden they bring out J.J. Abrams and like, hey, we're working together. And there's just a little bit of talk, not a whole lot. And then since then, J.J. Abrams has been quoted saying that yes, in fact, Half-Life and Portal films are happening. And I wonder if it's Half-Life and Portal or Half-Life and Portal film.
Here's
happening,
the thing.
that would be an amazing crossover.
Because the Portal world and the Half-Life world are the same world.
Yes.
Like I don't know if anybody's like actually aware, but Black Mesa, Aperture, and all these other companies are actual like that this is all happening on the same world. So that could legitimately be a thing. In fact, it was rumored in Half-Life 3 that you would run across some Aperture products while you're traveling through, Half-Life 3. So that would be cool.
Yes, and of course, he's very recently famous for Star Trek and being given the Star Wars, the new films. He's been given those as well.
I did not know that.
Wow, the guy's pretty busy.
I know.
He's very busy. He's doing the new Star Trek. He did the other Star Trek, and he's also doing the new Star Wars.
He also has a television show going on too.
This is actually really relevant to a few episodes back when me and Ix mentioned our 30-year bet.
I was thinking it.
About how video game movies. Oh no! I am
You about
waiting.
to lose?
Hey, it's not yet, buddy. Not yet.
Yeah.
Count those
But
back.
he has been quoted saying that he is going to give the franchises the respect that Valve themselves give to both the games and the fans.
I'm going to say that's impossible.
Yeah, that's what he claims, but
The amount
at the same time,
respect.
you got to keep in mind. This is also Valve working on something. When's the last time you hated on Valve?
Yeah.
I haven't ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
So before the movie would suck, Valve would shut it down.
Yeah, they
I would
would.
hope so. But the thing is, at least on the side of the bet, it's not just a good pair of video game movies come out. They need to come out as regularly as comic book movies and do as good.
No, you gonna add that now?
Yeah,
No,
that
that's
was
not
the
adding
agreement.
that now.
I was there. That was the agreement.
Yes.
Come on.
I
That
don't
was
think
the-
that was a stipulation he just now added. I remember y'all saying that they have to regularly be good.
That the original bet was that video game movies would be as good and as lucrative as comic book movies are today. That's what it was. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Warcraft's getting a movie too from
Yes,
a
Warcraft
decent
is
director
getting a movie. Yes.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
I can
in
believe it.
2015.
Those cinematics in the opening sequences of World of Warcraft are amazing.
I think so too. They have a great art team.
Yeah.
I know.
That's why
Gosh, that panda opening with the human and orc. Did y'all see? What was that? That
Yeah,
was
it's
amazing.
the Pandaria cinematic. It was hilarious.
I don't know anything about World of Warcraft. I know there were like predominant like characters in the, but I have no idea who they were. But just seeing them fighting and then seeing the panda being like, oh crap, and then like kind of like silently teamed up,
Yep.
unspokenly, and still got whooped.
Yeah,
You
pretty
know,
much.
If they do a World of Warcraft movie, I hope they do it sort of like that with not a ton of dialogue, because just having actions and emotions works pretty good.
Here, I actually, guys, I wasn't supposed to tell you this, but they are working on a World of Warcraft movie, and they actually asked me to review the script, so I'm actually holding the script. And it says, Paladin goes to Farmer. Farmer requests 15 pelts from kobolds.
Well, hold up.
Paladin goes and
Hold
gets
up.
15 pelts. he returns back and gives them.
I'm the Warcraft lore nerd, and I'm about to drop some funky crap right now. Just real fast.
Hold on, let me go get the
Metzen,
Febreze.
Chris Metzen is one of the granddaddies of Blizzard Entertainment and, does a lot with the characters and stuff. He is working, much like Gabe Newell, directly with this, I can't remember the guy's name. He's David Bowie's son, though. The director. He's working with him. And they're working directly. And there's actually a lot of lore arcs in that game that are perfect for a movie, much like the Arthas arc for the Lich King, where they could get a lot of human actors to do it, but I'm curious to see where they're going to take it, and I hope it won't be another Dungeons and Dragons movie, because that freaking sucked.
I was waiting to bring that up.
Ugh.
Dungeons and Dragons, yeah, and even the Forgotten Realms movies. Ugh.
Oh.
Wait, there were Forgotten Realms movies? Seriously?
Yeah, they didn't have Forgotten Realms in the titles, but they were Forgotten Realm IP, and they were horrible.
Wait,
and
video
also,
game
there
movie
was
horrible?
Even a Dragonlance movie that got canned halfway through because it was so bad.
I saw like a Dragonlance animated movie once, and the animation was so freaking terrible, I just couldn't.
Yeah. So there's a long history of bad films based on this type of stuff, but I really hope with like you guys had brought up before, the comic book side of it coming up and being strong. I really hope that they start looking at the video game movies with the same
I think so.
Same care.
Well, yeah, I would love that too. That's just not the world we live in, though.
Yeah.
Well, you never know. Maybe Half-Life and Pearl will do for video games movies what Spider-Man did for comic book movies.
That would be the
IP.
Maybe. It's a real coin toss, though.
There was something.
Here, let me flip it.
There was something that was disturbing earlier that was mentioned. Lantis reviewing a script.
Oh no! I would hate on a movie script just as much as frickin' what's his face, the guy that was a lawyer that eventually got fired when he's doing all the hating on video games.
Thompson.
Yeah,
Jack
Jack Thompson.
Well,
I would be the Jack Thompson of movie scripts.
It's more if you edited it and then sent it back, all the grammar mistakes.
Well, thanks.
Dang, that's harsh.
Yeah.
Harsh. But let's go ahead and get into our story mode, because we have a ton to cover.
Story mode.
Alright, so to top off this week's news, the lovely news, there is a kind of proposal right now in Connecticut to put a 10% tax on M-rated games.
Stupid.
And but wait, this 10% would be used to develop material to help educate families and parents on video game addiction and other problems that can arise from video games, I guess.
You know what would be the absolute best thing for gaming as far as that goes, as far as education and addiction and all that stuff? Parents actually abiding by the age restriction of video games. If their kid's not supposed to be playing an M-rated game, just make sure
Don't
they're
buy
not
M-rated games.
Like, seriously,
Yep.
how they act like they're so
to do.
stupid, like they can't keep the Xbox keeps track of all the games you've been recently playing. Go look at the achievement list. You'll see exactly what they've been doing.
My best friend wasn't
Specifically.
allowed, and he would just come over to my house and play the games. And I don't think you can really stop that unless you just are like, no, you can't see your friends.
Well, have an open and honest dialogue with your
Yeah.
child, first of all, which does not happen nowadays. I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
sex, drugs, alcohol, and video games, and
Rock and roll.
people
Sorry.
and violence. And people just don't talk about these things with their kids. That's the biggest issue.
Well,
I'm with
that's the
Bart.
Parenting? Insulted by parenting is your solution? Really?
Sorry, you're right. Let's just tax the video games and eliminate the alcohols.
Right.
Let's give the
Let's
tax money
become
to
Australia.
Let's give the tax money to the ESRB so they can have some commercials on TV.
No, that's just
No,
Well,
it's
let's just
lying.
not tax. Let's just not tax 10% just because it's an M-rated game. Because
Yeah,
this is
it's
isolating
unfair.
video games. This
Well,
is picking on video games, saying that the people who buy these M-rated games are bad people in the first place and need to be they're
They
labeling
need to be
them.
compensated for their badness.
Yeah,
Well-
it's punishing people because of uneducated viewpoints.
Well,
Well,
I'm glad I
I-
got Dead Space before it got taxed.
Well,
Well, it's parent responsibility too. Like, if you have 8-year-old kids saying, "I want to play Call of Duty or Halo," they're obviously mature rated games. Why
Yes.
do you go and buy it for them?
Because you're a bad parent. I'm sorry. Yes, I said
Yes.
it.
So
If there's
like,
a parent out there and you bought Call of Duty for your little child, and you're the reason why there's this little 12-year-old kid screaming over Xbox Live, how are you going to screw my grandmother? That's your bad. That's
Yes.
not. That is
Like,
your bad. You're a
don't-
bad parent.
don't tax people like around our age just because of parents who do this for their kids. Like, I'm not buying it for anybody else but myself.
You know what? You know what
Dre,
they
what
should
were you
start-
gonna say?
Oh, go ahead.
well, what I was going to say was the tax, yeah, it sounds bad, but the fact that it goes towards something important that's video game relevant to fix some problems, it doesn't seem as bad to me. I mean, if they were just being money grubbing like they do with
Like
increasing
EA.
tax over and
Yeah.
over with cigarettes, then
I'll give you a counterpoint on that, though. It's saying that the problem is with the video games, and that is not. The problem already existed. These people who
Well-
have these issues
Well,
are
right,
doing
right.
normal things. They're going to Wendy's. They're going to the bank. They're doing things that we all do. They just also happen to play video games like we do.
So,
It's looking at the wrong side of
I
the
don't-
entire issue.
I don't
And
think
how
it's
far does that money go?
villainizing people,
Because
though.
there's already problems with the mental health in this nation as
Right.
far as the care. Not necessarily like I'm saying there's a lot of mental health problems. I'm saying the care and education on the
There's
issue
definite
itself.
problems.
Yes.
well, I guess
And more money doesn't mean better use of money. It's still
Right.
Well,
it's still a problem.
what I think the biggest problem here is everybody's trying to blame video games like they're the source of the problem when they're
Yeah.
completely like the thing is it's easy to throw blame on an idea, on something that doesn't live, that's something that's not alive. It's not putting blame on somebody, right? But like for example, saying that first-person shooters in Call of Duty is the cause for school shootings, which is absolutely insane. Like, and I'm not going to defend Call of Duty for anything. You know how much I hate Call of Duty.
Yeah.
So the fact that I'm saying this is me, I'm being legit, like real talk right now. Like the people that are going to go and shoot up a school are not going to do so because they play Call of Duty. They play Call of Duty because that is relevant to their interests. They're already messed up by the time they're doing this.
Not to say
Yeah,
that
but-
everyone who plays Call of Duty is.
No,
it's
of
a small
course not.
it's a small part of a larger problem, and the biggest problem, I think, it's just a fundamental lack of this education, which they're going to be using the money to put on it. But I think,
But I would still argue use the money just as poorly
Right.
as they have been.
Right.
but if they're going to do this on just video games, I really think they're going to have to go ahead and take a look at this, because if you're going to do that to fund it, you should be going all across the board. I'm talking
Yeah.
selling guns. I am talking violent movies, talking all of that. And the biggest problem is I think we need to get better programs in schools that, help kids with actual mental health issues, and it's just not happening.
because schools don't have
recognizing
enough
them.
money.
Yes.
And regardless of the money and the taxation, you guys have all said biggest problem. In my mind, the biggest problem is the politicians themselves writing these bills. They're doing it in the wake of tragedies just to garner support
Yeah.
and get votes. They're not doing
Right.
it to fix anything, and that's why they don't care about the amount of money, where the money goes, how it's used. All they care about is I look like I'm a good person to the people that I care about.
Absolutely.
But wouldn't it be
I
nice
completely
if there
agree.
was a way to help, raise some of this money
Yes,
and
of
actually
course.
make a difference? That's
Yes.
all I'm saying.
You know what?
The
Instead
wrong
of
way
this,
entirely to do it, but yes.
I think instead of taxing, maybe they should just start carding people for games.
I got carded at
They do card
GameStop.
people to games.
But they don't
So-
tell the parent that yes you're old enough to buy this. Are you the one playing it? They have no control about what they do once it's purchased.
Well,
Well, they should at
again,
least
then that
ask.
falls on the parent. That's
Yeah.
bad parenting.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
what they
it
should
does
do instead
fall on the
is-
parent.
Yeah. What they should do instead of putting a tax, why don't they just ask for donations?
Yeah, I think a gamer, I don't know, if any gaming communities have done this, like I believe, what is it called? Gosh, I'm so dumb. The Electronic Consumer Foundation? Is that it? Frontier Foundation or something like that?
Something sounds familiar.
You mean the Electronic Frontier Foundation?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
The
think
EFF?
that there should be some kind of drive here to kind of get education awareness up at a time like this.
Not
From
only that,
actual
I really
gamers.
believe that tax money, a small portion of it, should be discretionary. I don't mean like pay or not. I mean, you as an individual get to say where you want your money to go. Like,
Yeah.
I would love to say that 5% of all the taxes I pay go directly to fund NASA. I would love to do that. And I guarantee you, if everybody had that ability, and we could look at the statistics of where people wish their money to be spent, we could go from there and make all the changes that we all want to see,
Yeah.
including education in these
You
matters.
know, Insultabot, how come nobody's thought of that idea before?
They have. It's just nobody wants to allow.
Yeah,
I had never
as well as
heard
us.
of I never even thought about it.
that is a really amazing thing, and it sounds like something that you should be able to do in the land of the free, air quotes.
Right.
Well, here's the problem though, and I can see this. Like, even for good causes, there's going to be Scrooge McDucks that won't donate to anything.
It's not donation. It is not donation.
you
It
just
is
get
Well, they
your
won't-
tax money.
They won't put their tax money towards,
Well, then
That's
it's
stuff that
gonna
actually
go
needs it.
somewhere.
It's still taxes being collected. They don't have to
Yeah.
have a good heart or a good intention. They could say, I don't even care where it goes. You're taking it from me and I hate the government in the first place. I don't care what they say. My point is, those of us who do care where our money goes would at least have a small say. It can start to be tracked, and then they can actually see
I'd
where we
love
want
to
our
put
money
my
to
money
go.
towards
And
this.
the politicians in control of this could then work on getting votes based on where we already want our money to go.
But that doesn't suit the lobbies though, and that's why they won't do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, it would be convenient, and we can't have that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Lobbyists
you're gonna have
is a huge
Scrooge
economy.
McDuck put it in the big oil and will say, forget the kids every single time, and that's their
And he's
choice,
free
but
to
that's
do
what's
that.
happening by
Yeah.
default.
It's a shame, but he's free to do that.
And that's all it is. It's just a sad state of affairs in this country for the most part with how greedy some people are, but whatever.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now,
Just
well,
like the greed for votes and exploiting tragedy.
Actually,
speaking-
wait, you want to know something sad? Lantis knows somebody who lets their 4-year-old girl knew how to play Grand Theft Auto.
That's
Yeah,
not
but-
uncommon though, SK.
In
It's
fact,
not.
she was so good at it, she knew she memorized the button combination to spawn a tank.
That
Oh my
is,
gosh.
is disturbing. I'm sorry, a game like that in the hands of someone so young.
Yeah.
Back to the issue at hand though. I do think Bot's idea has merit because right now everything's going to crap lobbies, so at least we'd have a choice as to make the country better.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
but
saying?
overall, this Connecticut bill that's proposed, if it passes, I'll tell you, it'll be a sad, sad day, not just for gaming, but in politics as a whole.
Yeah.
It might pass. It's kind of
Yeah, but
scary.
If it does, it is simply because of the recent shootings.
Yep.
Yep, and Australia, if you don't know, is kind of super, super strict about violent media. So it's not like there's no country that's developed
Yeah.
that doesn't already have this kind of stuff.
Germany as well. They recently have started easing back and unbanning some things that were banned, like the Doom series. And one interesting point about that, though, it's a little side story, is that Doom 1 is still banned, yet Doom 3 is unbanned in Germany.
No,
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Doom
But
1
anyway,
didn't have a
just
game
thought I
rating.
would mention that.
But I don't think it's gonna pass. I think it's much like the next story we're gonna be covering. I think they're they're putting their feet into the water and they're seeing which fish will bite their toes, and that's about it.
Which
Yeah.
I've done.
Or
In
find
a
You've
out
done
literal
that?
sense.
Or
It
they're just
feels
trying
really
to,
weird.
they could
I
just be
would-
gauging a reaction, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly it. Yeah.
And then they can
Just
reword
gauging
it later.
Yep.
Speaking on gauging reaction, anybody read the Edge magazine article on the Xbox rumors?
Oh,
Yep.
Lord!
We have.
Oh goodness!
I think
just
everyone's pretty much read it.
just
Yeah.
just in case you have not, they have said. Now this is all rumor. It's conjecture. This is not anything set in stone, especially Edge magazine. But the new Xbox supposedly is going to have all the games are going to have activation codes, and if you don't have an activation code, the game won't work on your system. So it eliminates the used market entirely. It's kind of like what EA is doing with their online codes with all their games, except for the actual game. You know?
Yes, we actually mentioned this about PlayStation doing a very similar thing, but out of the hands of the consumer.
Yep.
So the fact that both major consoles are discussing eliminating the used game market at the same time.
Wait. Well, here's a question though. Like, can you use this activation code on any other console, or is it married?
No, it's married.
Okay,
it's a marriage of them. Yes, and the issue is that the way Xbox seems to be doing it is with always on DRM, like connection. You got to be connected to the internet. Much like Steam, but in that consumer base, that's
super bad.
Or Diablo 3, the exact same way there. Yeah.
But on a home console, that's a completely different thing, and always on connection being required.
That's a death now.
Yes, that I can't believe. Wow.
So
I've been telling everybody that this E3 is going to be the most important E3 of the last decade. It's going to tell us what this generation ahead of us now looks like.
I really want to point this out again, that this is all conjecture, that Sony and Microsoft might not even be discussing this. Like, there is no proof that this is actually coming out of the mouth of Sony or Microsoft. So, I want to hope that it's not.
I wouldn't put it past them.
Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree.
I'm sure that they're just discussing it and thinking about it. I don't think that they're going to go through with it because they would be eliminating a huge consumer base, because there's a lot of gamers who don't have their console hooked up to the internet at all times. Mm-hmm. So you can't play single-player games.
Plus, it's stupid. Because if I can't buy used games are pretty much the only way I can afford games nowadays. So if I can't buy new games on used, if I cannot buy used games on their console, I'm probably not going to buy their console at all.
Well, that's the thing. I think me and Nix had a pretty long talk about this the other day, but I think we have agreed, like, to just, if that becomes a thing, we're done being modern gamers. If
I'm just gonna get the Wii U, and that'll be it for this entire generation.
They're not doing that.
And the PC in general. The PC, if these consoles do it, the Wii U will dominate the console market, but it won't go very far. Instead, everybody would go to the PC.
Right. I always argued about, the last generation and how while the Wii sold the best, that it was still the weakest of all the consoles, and it was just poor selection, terrible gimmicks, and all that stuff. But I will not argue that. If Sony and Microsoft do go through with this, without a shadow of a doubt, the Wii U will come out on top this generation.
By default.
No question asked. And the thing
is,
even
though it means more money for developers, they're not stupid enough to just shout, yes, we're going to go along with this, because it would ruin their, their market share.
And here's the thing. This is the biggest problem with this. What are you paying money for? Right? Like, if I buy a copy of the game, that is my property. I paid money for that, and it belongs to me. I should have the right. It is my property. If I decide I want to sell it back to get some money back from it, or if I decide I want to let a friend of mine borrow it, that's my thing. I should be able to do that.
It's a dangerous mentality.
Hey, preacher.
It is your thing. However, at the same time, buying a device that restricts its use in the first place is already your consent to go with it. So, and plus they're in the right to make any product they want to make. They have just as much right. I hate to say it,
which is why we're just not gonna buy it instead.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? I have between 400 and 500 consent notes in my pocket.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Then I get none of that.
There you go.
But another thing, think about how it is. Like, okay, so let's say 20 years from now, there's going to be a retro gamer, and it's like, wow, I really want to play a PS4 game or a 540 game. I don't know what it's called.
It's going to be called Next Xbox, or Xbox for short.
So the only way you can get games for that are going to be from buying used games, because they're not going to be selling new games
Yeah, so you would have to buy
they
a
will. They're
single
just going to be costing
collection.
over $1,000.
You would have to buy all new games.
No, you wouldn't be able to. You would have to buy somebody's individual collection. Your games are married
Right.
to that console. You would have to
Oh,
buy out
man.
a gamer.
That's messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, oh,
Oh, and
So,
can you
and
imagine?
think about it this way: GameStop would not sell a console that they can't sell a used game for. So again, they would be hurting themselves big time because a lot of
Yeah.
okay, how much money do you think, off the top of your head, you spent on this generation's consoles? I would honestly say I probably spent about $8,000.
I spent.
I bought all the new consoles. I bought a
Yep.
PS3 when it was still $600.
I
Man,
would say I spent nearly
dedication.
$8,000 on
I
this
probably spent-
generation.
I probably dropped like 5, maybe 4 or 5, maybe.
Maybe like 2 to 3.
3,000, I guess.
These are all individual people. Now expand that out to a nationwide, a worldwide market. A lot of us are just not going to be giving them our consent dollars, our consent notes. They're not. There's no way they're going to be able to get away with this. They won't.
Here's the way I look at it, right? Let's say, worst case scenario, this actually happens, right? And in the future, all gaming becomes, you're paying us to play this game on your console only. You do not have the right to sell it back. You do not have the right to, to
Well, you have
lend
the
it
right
off.
to. It's just it's unusable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can sell it used. It's just useless to the person who was dumb
You have
enough
to
to
give
buy
your
it.
friend your whole freaking console.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Have fun.
So let's say that becomes the case, and we do decide, I'm not going to stand for this. This is not what I think being a gamer should be about. This
Yeah.
is
Yes.
wrong. And we put it aside, right? Well, let's say gaming really started in 83 after the crash. Between 83 and now, a good, 30 years of gaming, we have got a crap ton of really good games that we could potentially play for the rest of our lives without ever playing a new game ever again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So really, I can stop whenever I want. I buy new games because I like the
You're
new
not
concepts that
addicted.
come out.
But you'll do it tomorrow, right, Ix?
But
Dead Space 3.
but yeah, I can stop. Oh, shut up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can go backwards now and like finish my entire backlog.
Yes.
Like
Yeah,
I'm not hurting.
Yeah.
But let's be honest here. We're a consumer society. People are going to always want new things, and because of that, if we don't like what they're doing, someone else will come out with something that we do like. There's already
Oh,
alternative
yeah.
consoles on the way.
Right.
There's obviously the Ouya, which releases soon, and by the way, they shot themselves already by
What?
announcing that Ouya they're doing yearly consoles. They've announced this. They need to wait till after the console comes out before saying this. But the Ouya will be a yearly device because they're trying to keep up with the mobile platform. So they're going to be releasing one every single year.
I can see that.
But the firmware is updatable. But you can always get a more powerful, a more efficient console, a cheaper console in the future. I'm not mad at that, but that was dumb of them to say because the console environment is so opposite the mobile environment.
Right.
Yeah.
They needed to wait till they were already out and going well. But
They're
anyway,
being promoted on Amazon.
there's always going to be an alternative. There's always going to be another company, just like Valve. Valve is very upset with everything that, in general, Microsoft is doing.
Yes.
And that's why they're coming out with the Steam Box. It's not called that, but there's the
I would
Steam
call
Box
it
coming.
Steam Box.
That's kind of
Yeah.
the same concept on theirs, though, too.
Yes, it is. However,
So-
it's on a PC, and that's
True.
different from a console in that PCs are typically always on, always connected.
Yes, that is true.
How
I'm
often
just
do you
saying-
unplug your computer?
This just basically this is the equivalent to the gaming apocalypse, really.
No, it's not.
Well, I'm just saying if
It could potentially be.
I'm
No,
just
it
saying
won't be, man.
I'm just saying if that happens, we could do the equivalent of just huddling in a bunker and playing classic games for the rest of our lives.
Well,
SNES
I
in a
see it.
trash can.
Well,
with the trash can fire.
We could do that, but then you have newer, younger people that probably don't understand this, and they're just going to ask their parents to buy Xbox
Okay.
or
Yeah.
PS4.
It'll
And
become
they're
a new
gonna-
the
standard.
uninformed consumer. You're
yeah,
right.
so
Who
they're going.
cares?
They're going. Well, they're going to keep.
Microsoft
producing
cares.
these
That's
things.
where the most
Yeah,
of their
well-
money comes from, uninformed consumers.
If we discard our title as modern gamers, why would we care who buys what anymore? Like, we're
They
completely
don't
out of
care
the loop.
If we care, they care about the majority of their money, and the majority of their money
Right.
is uninformed consumers.
But if I'm just saying, if we drop out, why should we care about who
I
buys
see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Well,
You're
'Cause I
saying
have to.
abandon, like you just abandon the scene.
the
Yeah,
past 20 years of my life has been very strongly influenced by gaming.
Yeah, exactly. Same here.
That's
and
why I care.
it would be so sad to see it go that way.
Oh,
Well,
I would care too, but it's just that I've just these past few years, I've really felt like my toes have been stepped on one too many times. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
How?
I'm all about the progression of everything, like gaming and whatnot, and I like where they go with ideas and stuff, but this is stupid. Like, I wouldn't go and buy a console where I can't get used games, because if it's an older game or something like that, or like, you can definitely get it for a lot cheaper. So if I can't do that, why would I want the console?
Yeah, and two things, like, Lantis let me borrow his copies of Dead Space 1 and 2, so I could actually play them and get an understanding of them. And then, I bought Dead Space 3 day one. Now, I regret that so far. But
Yeah.
Really? Why is that?
Well,
we're getting into that later.
We'll
I'm
get
sorry.
to that, won't we?
Yeah, me,
Yes.
Ix, and SK have a lot to say on that.
yeah, but just, yeah, besides that, yes. So without used games at all, I would have never even gotten into Dead Space.
That's exactly how I got into gaming as well, is because, RPGs, is because my first RPG was a borrowed RPG, and now the
Really?
majority of my money goes
Wow.
to RPGs.
Oh, I rented my first RPG. There you go.
Mhm.
What
Yeah.
was your
Can't
first
rent
RPG?
a license.
Final Fantasy IV.
Final Fantasy VI.
Super Mario RPG.
Oh, Final Fantasy VI here too.
Mario RPG.
My RPG was my first, but I'm just saying, because I rented Final Fantasy IV on the Super Nintendo. I have to say 4 because of Atlantis. But because of that is why I got interested in Final Fantasy and continued my interest in RPGs.
At least until Final Fantasy 13.
But a lot of people like to share their stuff too. Like,
I do.
I let Lantis borrow Eternal Sonata one time.
And because of that, I got SK to get it.
Yeah, and I bought it.
Yes.
My money went to, Microsoft, but
It's kind of like this network type of thing that you have with borrowing and using and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
That reminds me of when I was in the 4th grade, I actually let some kids borrow some of my games.
Awesome.
No, that's pretty much it.
I would love
That's cool. I did that too.
I would love to get the newer consoles if they didn't do this, because I want to see what they come out with next. Like the Wii U,
Yeah.
I kind of found the tablet controller like an interesting thing. I want to see. I'd like to get one eventually, just to try out
It's
the tablet and
I'd-
see what the touchscreen does. And
I don't
how
want
it
to see the
interfaces.
price of a new one of those, though. Goodness
$200
Oh!
roughly.
It'll-
Yeah, it's most of the console price.
It'll go
It's
down.
still at a loss.
It'll go down with time.
But
Well, that's what happens
going.
when you put a 6.2-inch screen into a controller. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
gosh.
it's really nice, man. I love it. I can just sit there and play while I watch TV because I love the multitask. But like
Right.
going into this EA thing that we're coming up on, BioWare has outright stated they were like, if someone doesn't buy our game, it's a lost sale. Like if they're not interested in it, they see it as like a lost sale, and it's really stupid.
So, here, before we even get into the game, can I share with you what my experience was actually getting into a game and eventually playing the game with Ix? Like,
Yeah.
Sure, okay. So,
Go.
I install the game to my hard drive, which takes a while. Not the fault of EA.
Completely optional, not required.
Yeah,
yes.
not required. Perfectly fine. I get into the game and realize, oh crap, I forget, this is EA. I can't actually get online unless I put on this code. So I can actually get online because, you have to pay to play online if you buy it used. So I go out, put in my code, and while I'm there, I also put in the code for the DLC. I got an extra gun for pre-ordering. So I get that, get back in game, and then they're like, oh, by the way, you need to register your Origin account. I'm like, Well, and if you remember Dead Space 2 also would let you sign into your Origin account, but it wasn't required. You could just cancel out of it and continue playing the game, right? No biggie. So I'm like, all right. So, you know, I went to the optional, or to the co-op mission, and they're like, all right, log into your Origin account. I'm like, no, back out. And it kicks me back out to the main menu. Logging into your Origin account is absolutely mandatory to play the game.
What's an Origin account?
Dragon Age.
Yeah, well, that's the thing they started whenever Dragon Age came out in 2009. You can
Kinda
log
like a
into
site
that.
login.
Yeah, it's actually
so
for
Origin
the site.
is their Xbox Live, basically.
Right,
It's their
and
Steam.
it's on
Origin
top of
is
it.
just them tracking who's playing what and what other games that they play, but making it a requirement is stupid. But anyway,
Dangerous
Origin
somewhat.
on the PC end is actually the same thing as Steam, but run by EA.
Right.
And I just want to say that what Lance is going through is exactly why Origin has more registered users, because EA merged every EA account, because they had millions, it's stupid, but across different games, and just consolidated them all down to Origin and forces people to use them. That's why Origin has more users.
Yeah, because you gotta use it to play Madden or Dragon Age or Mass Effect or Dead Space, and then you have tons of users.
So far, Lantis, you have not been able to play your game.
No, I have not been able to play my game yet. So I go back to the co-op, and they're like, all right, log into your Origin account. And I'm like, when's the last time I used this? Oh, crap. Or Dragon Age in frickin' 2009. What the heck password did I have back then? So I spent like 5-10 minutes, and they're putting in passwords. No, that one's wrong. No, that one's wrong. Do that for a while. And I eventually get fed up, go to the computer, go to the Origin site, log in, or don't log in. I try to log in, and it tells me no. Ask for a password reset. Go to my Gmail, sit there and wait for it to come in. After a few minutes, I check my spam filter to make sure it's not there instead. It's not. Eventually, after a few more minutes, pops up in my inbox. I reset my password. I go back to the Xbox, try to log back in, and I can finally put in the password, and I'm allowed to play with X after telling them, yes, auto login. No, please don't contact with me with more EA content at a later date and all this other crap. And I'm finally allowed to get in and play my game with Ixion. That is what it took to play the game.
Yeah.
Hey, I was trying to mention this, but when we were talking about lost sales and such, it's interesting how we might, as modern gamers, try to vote with our wallets and just say, no, we don't support this. And that's a good thing. However, when something like Diablo 3 sells like 6 million units,
that's something to happen.
Then they don't know if they could have sold 7 million units or not. They just know that they sold 6 million. So that's why it's hard to fight against like the wave of people who just don't care about what's going on.
Right. And you know what? And like, while that's true, it's to the point with me where I feel so adamant about voting with my wallet that even if I don't make an impact to anything, if I change nothing, I still feel right, at least with myself, Like,
to thy own self be true.
Yeah, at least I feel like I did the right thing.
Right, you can't force someone with free will and their money to not spend it on bad DRM, which really sucks, but hopefully just educating people.
And that's why we're going to be eventually forced the DRM hood.
DRM in the hood.
It's the principle of the thing.
Yeah, and also they don't even let people know about this coming, because did you know, Lantis, that you would have to use an Origin account to play Dead Space online?
No.
Well, I expected that to be part of it, but I didn't think it was going to, be required. It just blows my mind.
Would knowing ahead of time that you had to use that Origin account to play Dead Space 3, would that have stopped you from purchasing it?
It's hard to say, because I am a big fan of the first and second game.
Okay.
So
here,
on retrospect, I would still think I would do it, but I honestly think I am done with the series now. Like the actual, we can actually start talking about the actual game. If
It's a shame that you can't get refunds on media like this to show them.
Well,
that
some companies
this is
do
something
let
you don't
you, but
accept.
not EA. I mean, they're not.
Yeah.
You could take it back to GameStop, but that's just going to reflect poorly
Yes,
on the person who sold you the game. Because if you return games at GameStop, the person that sold it gets in trouble.
So let's say Walmart. Let's say you wanted to go back to Walmart. You can't return it. You cannot return it, and that's a shame. Because
if it's open,
it doesn't go back to the vendor and it doesn't go back to EA, and they don't see it as a loss. They just see their initial profit, and that's it.
I think they know somewhat, but they just don't care.
EA just doesn't really give a crap about anything. Like, okay, I must go on a brief tangent about their sports games. Okay, the two football franchises, NCAA football and Madden.
Right.
Both of those games, they will fix something that was nerfed in the last year version, but then they'll nerf something else, and they keep doing this over and over and over again, and people continuously buy it just because it's like, maybe they fixed the problem from last year, but then they find, there's a new problem, so hopefully next year they'll fix that problem.
It's basically
Gosh, it's like an
whack-a-mole, and
MMO.
it's so rigged.
Yeah.
It's so rigged.
They do that.
Cause if they made the perfect football game, no one would ever buy a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
Well,
would be
people
no
want to
reason
upgrade their
to.
teams, though. That would work.
Well,
That could be DLC.
it comes through updates. Like, you can get updated rosters from EA.
With the rosters.
There's still people loving and playing 2009's PES, which is a soccer game.
That's totally fair.
Pro
All right,
Evolution
so if you'll allow me to get back on topic.
Yeah.
Right, Dead Space 3,
So-
right.
Dead Space. We get into the game, and we've been playing it for a good while, and we've noticed a lot of things. Just like it was expected, it's not scary, and I think the reason is a few things. I'll save the big one for last, but for example, they have generic, like in the original Dead Space, you had plasma beams for your plasma cutter. You had rotary saws for your
Ripper.
Yeah, for the Ripper. Force packs for your force gun. You know, there's unique ammo.
The ammo was specific for each weapon, and you
Right.
only had a certain amount.
But in Dead Space 3, they cast all that aside, and now you just pick up quote-unquote ammo. And ammo is used across all weapons.
Sounds like the new Resident Evil game you guys are playing.
No, they still had different ammo. You had
They
like
at least
sniper
had
round.
that?
Yeah, shotgun
I actually
rounds.
cleared one thing up. Ammo is a generic item that puts bullets into all guns.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just like X's
Laser
survival
beam.
on RPG Maker 1, where it's like bullets.
Except X had an excuse for making it that way. I mean, it was all
It
he
was
could do
more
to
limited.
program, MP to be like bullets in a gun.
Exactly. To see this in a modern game is just baffling.
That's weird.
Like, it takes away from the.
So you don't have any fear of running out of ammo for a certain weapon. Every ammo you find is just ammo for everything.
And is ammo plentiful all around?
Oh my god.
SK, what would you say is the rate of inventory items that you get?
It comes far too easily. I keep dropping stuff.
It's a survival
It's
horror
like
game.
Diablo.
And
It's
I
like
have to
Diablo
keep
3.
getting rid of. I'm too like packed with. I'm packing too much ammo and heat and med kits.
Like,
Then why do they have
drop-
microtransactions to sell you items? What's the point if you have too many items in the first place?
Look, we were in the game, right? We're actually throwing away med packs.
Look,
You don't have too much to help you live.
real talk, EA or Visceral, whoever. If you're throwing away healing items in your
In the survival horror.
horror game,
It's
you're
not
doing
survival
it wrong.
Wow.
You need your med pack more than Left 4 Dead.
And so,
I know you can at least have just one.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
And here's another one. This is a big one for me. This is not the biggest, but it's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
They hyped up this game so much. Talked about like gun customability.
EA
like, you
hype
customize your
machine.
gun, right? So let me explain something. In the original Dead Spaces, you had, let's just say, the line gun. The line gun had two fires. It had a primary shot and a secondary shot. Primary shot was a big, wide laser beam that would do a really good job at dismembering like enemies' legs and whatever. So it'd make them crawl to you and finish them off. Its alt fire was a bomb. Like, literally, you'd shoot out a bomb, and after a certain amount of time, it'd explode, right? It was really good. It was situational. All the weapons were, like, situational. The plasma cutter, you could rotate it. The pulse rifle.
I remember the plasma cutter. That was so fun.
I
When I
know!
Like, that was so cool.
In the gun customization, they've taken that away. Instead, they're like, you can combine a plasma cutter with a ripper. You can combine a line gun with a force gun, and it's like, oh, that's so cool. But no, what it does is you can combine those two weapons, yes, but you lose the alt fires on those weapons.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Your alt fire button controls the second gun that you've attached.
yes,
You've successfully dual-wielded guns a la Halo.
yeah, but you
And
lost the
Not
alt fire.
only that, but you can't even make your any customization customization of your guns. Like there's specific things, pieces that you could put on your guns. So like if you want a shotgun and like a line gun, you can't do that because the piece that you need to put the shotgun on is not compatible with your line gun. So F you.
Actually, no. That's actually what I'm using right now. I've got Dead Space on right now, and I'm playing with the SK. I have got a shotgun line gun.
Oh, okay.
But
well,
Atlantis has been really freaking me out lately. He keeps unpausing the game, so my TV goes off in the other room. Stop that! He's doing it right now. Stop.
You guys, it'll be okay. It'll be okay.
So-
Just
Well,
get
stuff
to
like
it after recording.
a charging laser. You can't put that and a shotgun together though because it won't fit.
So, but here's the problem: you can only carry 2 guns at one time, whereas opposed in the other Dead Spaces, you could carry 4. Now, let's just calculate this real quick. If you have 4 guns, each gun having an alt fire, that is 8 different attacks that you could possibly have at any moment, right? That's 8 different things you can do. In Dead Space, you can have 2 weapons, but they can act as 2 different weapons. So you have the equivalent of the same amount of weapons available to you at any one moment, but none of them in Dead Space 3 have an alt fire. So you've actually went from having a complex weapon mechanic, like in Dead Space 1 and 2, to introducing something that seems more complex, but is actually more limiting.
So all they're doing is trying to broaden their consumer base to hit the more casual first-person shooter.
Right, that's
I have
what I'm seeing.
no idea.
Well, obviously.
And
Yeah,
the
trying to
casual
do Resident
gamers who
Evil.
will be logged into Origin at all times.
I'm just saying that Dead Space is not a casual game.
and the
Not
number
big-
one
not one big
most
complaint.
And
But they want to get more people.
And the biggest complaint I have with this is that it's co-op. The fact that you've got somebody with you, the fact that you're not abysmally alone, that's just indisputably alone, that feeling of just not having anyone around you is what the core of what makes a survival game, scary,
Now, I could understand if the co-op was used in a different manner. Like you play co-op, now you are severely limited in ammo. You are severely limited in weapon drops. You can only pick up the spawning changes. First of all, it's way too populated as it is, from what you guys tell me. But to force you to choose roles, like one of you can shoot far away things and the other one has a melee attack because those are the only weapons available.
No.
Give you guys roles and keep the fear going because
No fear.
you are incapable of doing something and he has to do it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Well, that's. I'm just saying there's something like at a core level, on a mental level, it's impossible to be scared in a survival horror game if you've got company. Period.
You know what would be interesting, though, is if in the story you and your partner got separated and you had to try to rejoin each other somewhere.
Well, and I agree. That would help a little bit. And so would making ammo more scarce, maybe make it where friendly fire actually deals damage. There's a lot of things you can do. But but still, on the fact that even though you might be in separate areas of the ship, the fact that there is somebody beside you, or at least on a headset, or the fact that I can talk with somebody, the fact that somebody is there, period.
Could you just play single player though?
You could.
At some point,
at least they give you the choice.
At some point,
Yeah.
though, while you're separated, one of you is going to be, oh my gosh, ah, and you're going to...
Well, we do that anyways when you
I
get
do that in
flooded
Left
with
4 Dead.
enemies.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, it's going to feel pretty hopeless then because your partner can't rush there to help you.
It sounds like the only fix would be, first of all, not saying that they could fix it, would be to do something like Journey, where you can't speak with the other player, you don't really even know who they are, and
Right.
yet you
That
guys
would
have
be
to work
so
together.
surreal and cool.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
fact, if you had friendly fire with that as well,
So like
Oh,
Dark
yeah.
Souls multiplayer.
like if you do something to the trust relationship between your partner, if
Yeah.
you take that away,
Show
give
up as an
respect.
enemy.
Well, you could do that in Dead Space too if you put in the online code. But the thing
Dude.
is, I just like.
But it's a different mode, yeah.
And aside from that, they've also taken a very unique change to the way they present characters in Dead Space 3. SK?
That's my biggest complaint so
All right,
far.
Hey, SK, would you please describe to me what the character Ellie was for you in Dead Space 2?
She was, you could see her frailty still, but she was strong and independent, could take care of herself, independence. She seemed sweet enough, and best of all, even though she and Isaac had to team up in, dire circumstances, they didn't hook up in any way. But this time, I just hate that, when two people, like if a guy and a girl are stuck in a dangerous situation together, it's like they have to have sex eventually.
Right.
Because she's the only girl character, it seems a little bit ridiculous.
Ellie was not sexualized at all in Dead Space 2. She was
sounds pretty awesome.
the main thing
she was
I'm trying to say.
appropriately dressed in like military garb, but she was working for CEC as a heavy equipment mechanic. So, she was dressed appropriately in everything. But in Dead Space 3,
They loaded fan service, huh?
the first time you see her, she's in this low V-cut cleavage.
And her breasts like quadrupled in size, I think.
This sounds like Mass Effect 3 all over again, but go ahead.
Wow.
Then she just runs into the arms of one of the NPCs and starts making out with them.
Yeah, and it also seems like there's going to be like this love triangle going on.
Oh, there is.
between her
But
and
isn't
Isaac.
it supposed to be
creative
about
director?
people
I don't know.
alone?
Yeah, does it? It
Dude,
sounds
space.
like it.
Did development change? Is it a different development
Look,
developer?
that's like you can just
EA
break
gone
apart
to
Dead
it.
Space 1 and 2 into its own thing, and now it's Dead Space 3 on the side.
All right.
It's
So,
like they
all right.
started a reboot.
My
That's what I
final thought on this matter, the final thought that I have
Yes.
for this entire thing, with the login problems I've had, with the gameplay changes and the direction it's going, I think I'm done with Dead Space, and I think I'm done with EA entirely. I don't think they put out
About
any
time.
good products whatsoever. I think Sims is boring and lame. I think sports are just completely asinine. And the only good product they have, which is Dead Space, they've ruined. I am done.
Kinda
I
not
don't think.
surprised.
I don't know if I would call it ruination, but it's a lot. I don't dislike Dead Space 3 so far. I just think it's the weakest, definitely so far of the
Yeah.
three. But I still think Isaac's character is cool. I still like the setting, the atmosphere, and it seems the story is going to continue. And I find it kind of epic for a survival horror game. So
Right.
I mean, it's just the weakest, but I wouldn't say it's bad.
Well,
Okay,
it's
and
just-
I just have one final thought about that, and we'll keep going. You can't save when you want to in this game.
Oh yeah.
You have to
Oh, yeah,
go.
what-
You have to
what the
progress
F?
the game
Yay!
to a certain point, and then the game auto saves for you. So if you want to stop between those, you're going back to the beginning.
If you got to go to work or
Wow.
something, you're just gonna have to leave your
Yeah.
console on. I'm sorry.
In Dead Space 1 and 2, you could always backtrack to the nearest save point and just save. In Dead Space 3, nope. You gotta hit a checkpoint. And it'll auto-save for you, and if you quit before one of those... Me and X quit before we reached one when we were like halfway through this really long segment, because we were just tired and wanted to go to bed. Like, how far back could they possibly put us? Next day, we found out. Holy crap.
Wow. And what does that say about the game itself, that you're willing to lose progress just because you're bored?
Well, tired.
Well, it wasn't that
Tired,
y'all were
okay.
bored, was it?
Tired.
We were tired. It was late.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I mean, I'm sorry, I can't say Dead Space 3 is boring.
yeah.
no.
Fine.
But that's it for Dead Space. That's an EA
And
as a company.
I was actually considering picking it up based on the fact that you guys are playing it, and I was like, oh, I'll play it with you guys, but definitely not now.
Yeah, no.
That-
No.
And while I would love to play a game like Dead Space 3 with you, I'm going to say that too. You know what? Save your money. Screw EA. Let's play Borderlands instead.
There you go.
Amen.
That's a life lesson for all.
Amen.
Orange, would you please?
Ah, yes. How about some RPG Maker Minute up in here?
RPG Maker Minute.
Oh, yay.
I'm not doing the voice again.
Good.
RPG Make a Minute.
There it is.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
Fox, you've been working on some game stuff recently for
Yes.
RPG Maker. Would you like to
Yes.
share that with us?
Well, it's not titled yet. I will figure that out later on, like far later on. It's on RPG Maker VX Ace, and progress is relatively slow because
I know how that feels.
well, it's not for lack of wanting to. It's more I need to be in the right state of mind to be able to make progress because sometimes I come up with ideas but they suck. And so I don't want to pin it down. So I'll just wait until I feel the motivation to get
Sounds
up
like
and
you're
do
actually
it.
being responsible with it.
Yeah, unlike, some people.
Yeah.
Because a couple of nights ago, I wanted to try and add more to what I already typed up, but then I was like, you know what? I don't feel it. I don't know what to write down, so I'll just leave it alone until I actually feel it next time. So currently, I've worked on the 4 main characters that you get to play as. And reason why I stick with 4 most of the time is because I don't like shifting characters in and out. And for RPG Maker, I guess, it's harder to keep up with more than 4 characters.
I agree with that.
I've been working on the characters. I got some of their stuff worked out. I still got to do a lot more with like backstory, history, all that kind of stuff. I've been going through the science of it all, like magic science and all that kind of stuff. And
Aperture science?
Yeah. If it's not, like, I try to use some real life type of explanations, but it's not going to be spot on, nor do I want it to be. So if anybody plays it, it's like, hey, that's not right. It's not supposed to be like the modern world, so don't assume it's supposed to be. Because I'll use like negative and positive particles and neutral particles and that kind of stuff.
Well, I you know what? I'm gonna completely. I'm not gonna question that at all. Especially when I'm working on a game right now where lightning is weak to fire element. Try explaining that.
Was that your idea or mine?
I honestly approach every single game as in it's in its own unique universe and anything can happen.
Well, the thing is,
Yeah.
we have to use the rock, paper, scissors thing, and we're trying to use fire, lightning, and water. So how do you...
Yeah.
There's going to be an odd one in there.
Well,
regardless of
in
what
our
you do.
universe, it doesn't make sense, but perhaps in the game's universe, it does.
It's like Divine by Zero.
That's how I'd like to look at every game I play. It might make sense in their world, even if it doesn't in mine.
And as far as what I'm trying to do as a gameplay concept is instead of buying all your equipment, you're going to synthesize it.
That's cool.
And one of the characters is supposed to be an engineer, and he's going to be your primary healer, which is strange. But he's going to be a healer. He's also going to be a magic attack guy. So, but he does so through the use of tools. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do there is having you synthesize tools, and so you can cast like a variety of different spells, or I like try and maybe merge elements or something like that. It's something
Sounds like Edgar from
it's
Final
something-
Fantasy VI.
It's something I'm thinking about doing. I'll have to flesh it out more, but I really want to go that route because I did get sick of the whole typical, white mage type of character that
Absolutely.
casts magic. So I'm trying to go a different route with it.
We got to have the Trinity. Got to have tank, DPS, and healer.
And one of the biggest things I'm going to implement, but I'm not sure how I'm going to do it for every place, is like element types things going on on a map. Like there will be like the first town of the game and the first dungeon. You'll be able, like the town itself will automatically heal you every few seconds. So you'll gain some HP as you move around or just sit still.
That is a nice way to do that. I always hated having to physically walk into an inn just to heal up.
Yeah,
but just walking around town, that's kind of cool.
It's not going to be like that for every town or every place, but I'm trying to have environmental effects. Like if I say you're going into a poisonous marsh or something like that, you're going to lose HP as you walk. I'm thinking about maybe poison status, but probably not. I'll just see how it goes from when I get there. But I want to do a lot of environmental effects to make it actually seem like something's happening while you're there, rather than just like, oh, well, I'm in a volcano, but I'm perfectly fine.
Right. Maybe some not ailment, but a nerfing of one of your stats based on where you are.
Yeah, something that changes how the game plays out. And I want status effects to be important, unlike a lot of RPGs where status effects don't really do much to you.
Oh yeah, that's a big problem.
And especially on enemies, like why do status effects not do much for enemies? Like you can hardly poison an enemy, you can hardly paralyze them, you barely put them to sleep. So I want to try and work that kind of stuff in, but also have status effects affect you a lot more.
And I'm glad for that, because with games like Final Fantasy Legend 3 where status effects were really useful, I really like it when status effects are really useful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Too bad you can't really change the efficiency in like RPG Maker 1.
I typically in classic RPGs, I just ignore a lot of status effects because you can just seriously
don't even bother.
You know, you could just go with strength and defense and always win because the status effects they're just not worth bothering with. It's not something that helps the gameplay in typical games anymore, or RPGs. So that's why I typically ignore them and just go with strength. But I'm really glad to hear a new take on it, like actually utilizing them. That sounds really cool.
A lot of it too is going to wrap up with the magic and stuff that I've got going on in the world. Like, so you think about how I want to do like the engineering synthesis and all that, and the environments and stuff. So it kind of plays itself out in status effects too, where imbalances throughout the world with the magic and all that causes all these problems and effects.
I think that's just such a cool and unique theme, though, from, the typical two nations are warring, blah, blah, blah. Or, evil overlord lady
Awakens.
Tropes.
The evil
I think
empire.
it's awesome.
Time compression, that kind of thing.
Time compression.
There's going to be elements like that, but it's not going to be like, oh, well, we're going to have two nations warring. I'm trying to have
there's
more...
no reason.
I'm trying to have more of a science type of effect, and people kind of want to take it for themselves or abuse it in some way. Something like that. But it's still in the very early stages, so I have plenty of time to mess around with it and figure out where exactly I want to go with it.
It is all
Sounded
good.
pretty cool.
And thank you for sharing that with us as well.
On that note, you said that the only way to upgrade your equipment is through synthesis.
Yeah.
I would suggest proceed with caution, because that can be, if it's not done right, it could be pretty tedious. Like in Final Fantasy VIII, you can only upgrade equipment in that game through synthesis, and I found it really sucky.
Well,
it made it really hard to find all the resources, is what I think what he's saying.
I'm going to make the resources somewhat easier. It depends on the equipment that you're getting. Like, the better it is, it might be a little more difficult to find it, but I'm not going to make it where you have to go on a 4-part side quest to get it. But I want to try and make resources pretty accessible. And sometimes you'll have to fight enemies to get them, or you might just find minerals and stuff like that in dungeons. Like, if you walk up to a rock, you find a mineral there.
Kind of like how just walking through Dead Space 3, and, oh, look, tungsten, because that just naturally lays around.
And I am using the original game that I had did a video on a long time ago, like 2 years ago, maybe 2 or 3
This
years
is
ago.
awesome.
And I had an idea for that game, but I kept changing things about the story where the characters started becoming irrelevant with what they do. And now I'm trying to make the story revolve around my characters rather than the characters revolving around the story.
That
Because
sounds cool.
I like character-driven themes, so that's what I'm trying to go for.
Like,
And so-
even if in the overworld story there's something huge and tragic, the focus is still on the characters.
Yeah.
I really do
Oh,
like when
might
the
I-
characters is the focus.
Might I suggest, Shadow Fox, that you create a system like EA to where if you can't find the resources, they can pay you money directly, and you just give them to them.
I'd be rich
Yeah,
with
that's
the 20 people that play it.
yeah. Like, that's exactly the way it works in Dead Space 3. You get a bunch of minerals, like you could get tungsten and just got a bunch of different stuff that you can use to make stuff. And if you don't have enough, just pay EA money; they'll give it to you.
The microtransactions, right?
Yeah.
On that microtransaction, even though this is a tangent going backwards, I just
Sorry.
wanna mention
It's
there's-
okay.
you can actually exploit that so that you can not have to go through the microtransactions, and you could find infinite of certain items. And it's a glitch. Yet EA came out saying, "Oh, that's not a glitch. That was put there for you to discover and
It's a feature."
utilize."
Yeah.
Yeah, love that.
Back with the video that I was talking about. If you had watched it, I made it to where you can interact with things in your environment too, like books on the floor. You can, there's always going to be something going on the map, so you could talk to a doll, and some dialogue may show up or something will happen. So I'm trying to make a very interactive type of game to where you just don't go from point A to point B.
Yeah, because I can't. It is annoying whenever I'm playing a game and I'm trying to check all the objects around me and not one of them does squat.
Because
I like to check
Exactly.
objects.
who knows? You might talk to a bucket and you'll get the best resource in the game to make the best weapon. You never know.
There you go.
Just in a bucket somewhere, huh?
Yep, random bucket.
You never know.
It's just to make people search around and do something besides just go through the story, because
Well,
it gets kind of very object based, where it's okay, I have to do this and then move on to the next point. It's take the time to explore.
simply summed up, if you don't have things to interact with, your world is dead. You know,
Yeah.
you
The
got
world is
land.
dead on the
Yeah.
inside.
Yep.
you got to have stuff to do. If you look at a pile of barrels and you know that it's just scenery, whatever, you don't really care. But hey, there might be something in there. Hey, that's
Those barrels just raspberried at me.
barrel tails.
And
One of my favorite things about Final Fantasy IX is how much hidden stuff they have in that game.
Oh yeah.
yeah, there's plenty of it.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh,
what
it's
I was thinking about doing
Oh,
too
yeah.
was as you progress through the game, dialogue changes for characters back in the towns you've already been to. So after the first town of the game, you move on to the next one. Whatever happens there, you can go back to the first town and dialogue changes for every
Instead of
NPC.
just I always hated
Land
going back to old towns, and they're like, "Oh, to clear this dungeon, move this rock." Well, okay.
It's like you already did it.
Yeah.
Well, luckily, SK and I can do that fairly easily since we have so many scenario cards. We don't even have to use switches. It's just a different scenario. They can say something different,
Yeah, that's cool.
And so, yeah, that's pretty much what I've got going on and what I'm thinking about right now. And now that it's on MagCast, I can remember it.
Good.
It's not all written down yet. It's stuff that I've thought about and I plan on doing. I just sometimes forget.
Better bookmark this.
Favorite this. Actually, that was super interesting. And I thank you for that, because I would like to get more people on here that are actually just working on stuff. Just to hear about what they're working on, because we are still, an RPG Maker site.
Well, luckily, you've got Dre that's working on something
Yep.
for a contest, and me and SK are getting really close to finishing up, hitting a huge landmark in our project.
Our Garrett
Absolutely.
forever.
Hey,
I'm working
at
on
least
something.
it will be finished.
Well, Duke Nukem Forever was eventually finished, wasn't it?
Yeah, at least it will be finished. That's what I'm saying.
There you go.
So, as a result today, in the show notes, I'll post a link to Fox's development update topic on the forums. So if any listeners are interested in that kind of thing, they can check that out. Because it's pretty cool to watch progress on something that's been thought about for a couple of years.
Yeah,
Or
you need
10,
to update
in some people's
the video
cases.
more often, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I just haven't really had a lot going on with it lately, so it's been kind of dead. But I should go in and update it.
Just a little.
Just a little love tap. Just, hit the button. Just hit enter.
Yeah, we'll definitely have more RPG Maker relevant news in the future.
Right. And speaking about that, MagCon is coming up.
Yep, MagCon. Though we do have a one game that's going to be showcased there, Survival 3. So
can't wait, actually.
Yeah, it's going to be good stuff because Survival
Check
2
it
had
out.
such a wonderful turnout. So
I might
You're
bring
on the
something
YouTube channel.
Looking forward to it.
And I imagine we'll have other guest speakers coming in and talking about their games, such as Duel, who in the chat wished we would bring up Wait in Line. But Duel, you yourself will be able to.
Yeah,
you can tell us about your Wait in Line 2 progress.
I prefer to get the creators.
He can, but he'll have to wait in line.
Yeah. There is a line.
Oh, snap, that was meta.
I was sitting on that one. I was like, I want to say it.
I'm glad it just rolled out of your pants like that.
Yeah.
Nobody knows why we're laughing right now.
Oh, they'll never know why we're laughing so
You
hard.
don't want to know. You don't want to know.
They will never know. They must never know.
No.
On that note, that very happy brown note, we'll see you guys next week. Send your questions to RPGMMagCast@gmail.com.
Later, guys.
And post in the comments below.
Bye.
Maybe someone will get a story out of that.
Later.
See ya.
Oh, God.